Bitcoin CME futures seeing a world record amount of buy volume and longs being put into the market. I'm going to talk about why this is going to be a huge deal for the overall cryptocurrency market and why this may be a start to a bull run. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple's technical analysis, as well as talking about ETFs back on the table. For the first time ever, there are two proposals on the table, and then we're also going to be covering Tron and Justin Sun and what they're doing with the BTC token and why I think that token may see some upside soon. And then we're going to be covering Ripple and whales moving a ton of coins. So let's first talk about this analysis here. We're looking at the Bitcoin CME futures chart on the daily, and what we see here is $80,000 worth of Bitcoin longs being put into the market. And if we were to do the calculation here and see how much that is in US dollar value, if we were to go ahead and type in 800 or 80,000 Bitcoin, that's $315 million, and that's a long position that was just set. What does that mean? Well, for those of you that don't understand what long and shorts are, this means that there has been a record amount of volume in regards of people betting on Bitcoin seeing upside. And what that means is we're in a very crucial time now. If we were to pull up Bitcoin's technical analysis, this is a perfect time to take a look at this. We've got some amazing things coming here. You can see this is a resistance level that we're watching really closely right now. If you guys are a part of our Discord group where I send out all of my trades, the link is in the description below. If you're not in that, by the way, it's free, and there's a mobile, desktop, and a web version, so there's no excuse there. But this resistance is what I'm watching right now, and the reason I closed all of my positions is because there is a slight potential based on this RSI being at these high levels for us to see some minor downside towards that EMA here. You can see that's going to be right around that 39.23 level before breaking this resistance level. But it's also a very possible scenario for us to just go right through this resistance level, being the fact that we're starting to see buy volume come into this market. We're starting to see this RSI recharge here below that 70 where it's not completely overbought yet. And then we're just overall seeing such positivity in the fundamental sense in this market that it's almost hard to believe that we're going to see any downside. Look at this. Transactions per day, over 300,000 right now. Today, 314,000 transactions here. And we are continuing to see high transaction volume on a daily basis compared to what we saw when Bitcoin was at 20,000 US dollars. So we're going to be taking some live questions from our audience. Remember to like this video if you guys haven't already. We've got Malik and Hassan, Asim, Dichera on our live stream. Let's see. Hassan says, Naeem, when moon? LOL. Well, let's talk about when we're going to see the moon. So what's really cool about Bitcoin's technical analysis here is the fact that we've got this 100-day moving average in green. We've got this 50-day moving average here in red. And then we've got this EMA here in teal. And so right now we're seeing some very bullish momentum with this EMA. The fact that we're jumping on top of that EMA, that's a very good sign. Not only that, now we have this 100-day and this 50-day moving average below price action. And what I'm expecting to happen soon is for this 100-day moving average to see a little bit more downside while this starts to curve up, and a possible golden cross here that can occur, which would be a very bullish sign for Bitcoin. And once again, the golden cross can and usually applies to the 200-day and the 50-day moving average seeing a crossover. But in this case, we're looking at the 100-day and the 50-day because that can also be considered a golden cross. It's just a little bit of a weaker signal than if we were to see that 200-day moving average create any sort of crossover here. And so what's really cool as well is we've got this pennant that was formed that we eventually broke out of. If you guys have been keeping up with the live streams, you guys know we've been talking about this pennant, and that's also a support level. So we've got three major support levels. We're currently at this resistance level around 4,050. We've got this RSI here starting to charge itself up, and then when you look at the MACD, you're starting to see buyers come into this market. Now, what I don't like here is this blue fast length and this orange slow length, which is the MACD. This is really what creates what the MACD is, the moving average convergence divergence here. They don't typically like to stay far apart too long. You can see that they're pretty far apart right now. So for this to curve a little bit back inwards with that orange, which would mean we'd see a little bit of some downside action, wouldn't be a surprise to me as well, being the fact that we already saw this extreme bullish momentum over the last week or so that took us pretty much 10% up in such a short interval of time. And so Once we break out of this resistance, if you were to ask me my overall opinion as, let's say, a swing trader, which is a trader that typically holds trades overnight, right? You've got day traders that typically don't hold overnight. You've got swing traders, and you've got long-term investors. If you were to ask me in a swing trading perspective, Naeem, where do you see this market headed in an overnight perspective or a long-term perspective? I would say that we've pretty much seen the bottom of this market. You know, I was listening to some podcasts today online talking about, oh, Bitcoin is going to go down to 2,000 and, you know, we're still expecting some lows. But they weren't talking about any facts, right? They weren't talking about the fact that transactions per day are at all-time highs. They're not talking about the fact that if we were to pull up the total market cap here and click, you know, total here and look at this record volume that's starting to come in buy volume, they're not talking about the increase in cryptocurrency market total capitalization volume. See, they're not mentioning these facts that I think is important to keep track of in order to understand that the fundamentals are not going to catch up with the technicals here before we see any sort of price action to the upside. We have to be able to look at the facts and say to ourselves that, man, this asset class is undervalued right now. This asset class is seeing so much more progression than where it was 2 years ago. And so the fact that it hit $20,000 is just the potential for us to go back towards that high, right? You know, I've been in this market for 10 plus years. I advise over half a dozen blockchain companies. And what I'll tell you is, being a trader in this market, I've seen price levels go from $300 to $1,000 and then crash 70%. And then eventually we surpassed $1,000, right? So I've seen it all. I've seen Bitcoin at $30 going to $100, right? It just happens in different levels. And this market has not yet hit $1 trillion market cap. If we were to look at coin market cap, we are still between that $100 and $150 billion market cap. I'd love to hear you guys' opinion in the live chat about what we're talking about here. Somebody on Facebook has seen said, what comes with the premium group? If you guys are a part of our Discord group, you're pretty much going to get access to all of my trades, and we post trades pretty much on a daily basis, unless we're in a consolidation phase in the market where we'll tell everyone to exit their trades and stay liquid. But you do get access to that alongside with our premium education. If you guys are new to trading and have never traded before, once again, it's not something that you have to continuously learn. It's something you learn once, you create your strategy, and you know forever. But you pretty much get access to this premium education channel where you go through. And I would highly recommend you guys going through this. And we actually have this free section here for those of you just on our Discord. The link is in the description. I'm telling you guys, there's no excuse not to get on here. Go to Quick Tips. Anybody can access the Quick Tips. And you guys have all of this amazing information. You have all these videos talking about all of these different principles and fundamentals of analyzing markets. And then if you are part of the premium group, this is where I post all of my personal trades. But in our crypto chat, that's open to everyone. I highly recommend you guys get on there and talk to other people in the community about what coins are interesting to you. You know, we had a couple requests today about the BTT token. And what's interesting about the BTT token and why I'm expecting BTT to actually see some huge upside over the next few months is the fact that we're really starting to see a lot of support with this new BitTorrent token coming not just from exchanges, but also from the largest exchange in the world, Binance. You can see here it says, Binance announces 200,000 or 200 million BTT giveaway via trading competition. You got to understand, just having Binance involved in your project in any way like this is a huge deal. You can see here it says, BTT has seen considerable adoption amongst major exchanges. The token's launch on Binance's Launchpad was a huge success, and Tron Foundation has been actively promoting the token by carrying out various activities, including airdrops. Binance too has now joined the foundation in promoting the token by designing a BTT trading competition. Now, for those of you who don't know what the BTT token is, BitTorrent, which is where you're able to pretty much torrent downloads, is a platform in which it requires individuals to see downloads. And for decades, we've seen individuals from all around the world see downloads for free, not really being rewarded for it. And BitTorrent, with its already existing millions of users, has now created this reward system with this new BTT token for those that are seeding downloads. And so that's a pretty awesome token in my opinion, because there's intrinsic value, right? And I think that's why we're starting to see if you go to this total cryptocurrency market cap chart, so much volume coming into this market. If we were to actually do an analysis on this chart as well, what's really cool is we also broke out of this pennant with this total cryptocurrency market cap chart. We're also above the 50 and the 100-day moving average. We're seeing this bullish price action above the EMA, which is that teal line right here. And then we're seeing all of this volume come in, right? We've got this bullish RSI. It's not anywhere past 70. It's staying right here in between that 60 and 70, which is a very good area in terms of bullish movement. And then we're seeing all this buyer pressure come in as well. And so looking at this total market capitalization chart, we've broken this long-standing pattern that was just holding us back for so long. We're in this ascending pattern. We've got these strong support levels, and then you go and you look at these Bitcoin longs and you're like, holy crap, we've seen record amounts of volume, 800,000 Bitcoins right here in one day, and that's record volume. So, and that's a long position. And so what does that tell you? In my opinion, it's telling you that we're starting to see maturity in this market. If you pull up this headline, it says here, the SEC now has 2 Bitcoin ETF proposals on the table. What I like about this article is it actually mentions time frames. I think it gives you a little bit more of an urgency when you know exactly when things are going to be proposed. You can see here it says the SEC has, for the first time since August, more than one Bitcoin exchange traded fund proposal on the table to review. The Bitcoin ETF proposal has now appeared on the Federal Register, which officially kicks off the 40-day period the regulator has to make an initial decision. Within it, the SEC may approve, reject, or extend the proposal to be able to make a final decision in up to 240 days, right? So that's less than a year that we're potentially going to have Bitcoin ETFs on the table. We're starting to see record transactions volumes per day in regards to Bitcoin. We're seeing these new platforms come about like the BTT token, and it's an actual applicable use case. And then we're starting to see support with some of these large founders like Justin Sun saying here, Tron is making some serious advances on increasing TRX's accessibility for institutional investors. Thanks to BitGo, institutions can now trade TRX in the US. And we're seeing potential institutions come into this market. Why is this significant? I'd love to hear your guys' opinion in the chat. Let's see. RF Dusty says, hey, I hope you're doing well, bro. RF Dusty says, rich people water. Let's see. Del Agua says, where's LaCroix, Naeem? I love it. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. Once again, like the video if you haven't already. But the point is, we're starting to see positive movement in this market. Here's another article here about Ripple. Moves 73.2 million Ripple as Bitcoin and Tron whales move crypto by the millions. You can see here this article. It says Ripple's largest, most recent transfer, 47 million Ripple, which clocks in at more than $15.7 million, was sent from a known over-the-counter Ripple distribution wallet to an unknown wallet. This is a sign that Ripple may have sold the batch to a third party, which the company regularly does to pay its bills and to make new investments in the XRP ecosystem. Why is that also important? Well, the fact of the matter here is not only are we starting to see progression with coins like the new BTT token, you're seeing support from Tron. We're starting to see Binance come in and support these type of competitions. We're starting to see volume come to this market. Things are looking really good heading into the second quarter of 2019. Do you guys agree or disagree with me? If you guys are expecting a good bull market, like the video. And if you're not, then say why in the comments or the chat. I'd love to, talk about different opinions here. Let's see. Chucky says, I'd be really excited for sleeper coins, page 2 coins that might come out of nowhere during this bull run. I'm sorry, Chase said that. It's interesting. I think that some of the coins that I am watching right now include VeChain. They just announced a recent developer bounty. Zilliqa, very, very awesome coin. A lot of developments being made, right? You've got coins like, of course, Ripple. There's so much controversy around it, but the point is they're creating a lot of partnerships, and that's positive, right? But now you have these coins like the BTT token arising, right? The BNB coin. You know what's funny about the BNB coin? And this is really going to prove who here has watched Sniper Stu or my channel long enough. We've been making videos for over a year now on cryptocurrency, almost on a daily basis. But do you guys remember when I made that video saying the most undervalued coin of 2018, the Binance coin? And I literally predicted this almost a year ago that we were going to see the best action with the BNB coin. If you're to pull up the BNB BTC chart, you can see here phenomenal growth here over the last few, the last year. It's just been such a monster. And so, when I'm talking about coins, I hope you guys are listening. It's my humble but accurate opinion that I'm giving you guys here. Daluga says bull summer. Seems says agreed. G Butt says great work, Nine. But quick question: Koi Square acquired Stellar X. How does this divestiture of Stellar X affect Stellar's coin? I would have to look more into that to talk about that in more detail, G, but I do apologize. I only like to talk about things I'm fully competent on, and have, read the backstory, the in story, the left story, right story, right? There's always different stories. Let's see here. Ali says, BTT competition on Binance is not very strong. What is going on? At least they're creating promotional value there. I think that's what's most important, whether the competition has participation or not. Let's see. Buy CryptoPix says, ONT is going crazy today. I love it. And so let's move on to some other analysis here, because we're seeing some really cool stuff here with Ethereum here to the US dollar as well, which has been extremely interesting here. So looking at Ethereum to the US dollar, we've recently seen this price action to the upside, breaking out of this formation. What's really cool here as well is we've got this 50-day moving average right here, also crossing over above that 100-day moving average, another golden cross forming here, which is a very bullish indicator. And so looking at the RSI here, we've also got very bullish RSI levels here, which is also a very positive thing here for Ethereum. And so in my opinion, what's going to happen is we're going to start to see more buyer volume come into this market. And it's not just going to go to Bitcoin. It's going to spread across some of these altcoins. I think Ethereum will definitely be one of those coins that are going to see that volume, being the fact that it's such a prominent figure in this market. And then we've got this resistance level, which is right around that $165 US mark, where we're currently at around $150. So that's about $15 off. We'll probably see some resistance there, but I don't think it's going to act as a resistance for too long. It's only been there for one previous point, and that's alongside this triangle that was forming. And so once it gets above that, the real resistance is going to be right around that $240 US mark. And I wouldn't be surprised for Ethereum to get to those levels, especially being the fact that there's so much intrinsic value with the platforms being built on it. But now you're going to start to see more and more de-application platforms like Tron come into this market and take over with some of these other amazing projects like the BTT token. It's a shame that that's not built on Ethereum, right? It would have been a huge, feat for Ethereum to have that token on its platform, but it went to Tron. And so I'd love to hear you guys' opinion on that. Why do you think they chose Tron instead of Ethereum? I'm sure I could do some research there. Hassan says, Ethereum following what BTC is doing, expecting more of a pump for ETH if we do break above the 4,000 mark. If you were to ask me this, hey, Naeem, do you see a better upside potential here with Ethereum to US dollar versus Bitcoin to the US dollar? What I would say is, why don't we take a look at the technicals? If we were to measure where we're at right now, and let's not use this as a level, because I wouldn't trade this level. There's just not enough risk to reward ratio. I would probably trade this right around this if this were to breach. And so we've pretty much got like let's say a 34% potential upside here, versus if we were to do a Bitcoin analysis here on the potential for a nice swing trade here. What's cool about Bitcoin is if we were to look at the next resistance, right? We've got this second target right up here. And so for us to break above this right here, I would say Ethereum has a lot more of a potential. What's interesting about what's happening here with Bitcoin is if we do start trending up, this right here is all free zone, right? There was never really a support or resistance created here. Obviously, this right here can be considered the next target, which is right around that 5,500 mark. But for Ethereum, I think it'd be a lot easier for us to see some upside. And, that would make sense because Ethereum took quite a beating over the past year or two. I mean, if we were to pull up the ETH BTC chart now and take a look at the Satoshi value of Ethereum, you can see, it took a horrible beating, and it's at these lows, and it's finally starting to trend up. We recently saw that golden cross occur. We saw an ascending triangle. You've got this neutral resistance, this ascending support, and then you've got this major resistance that was broken, and we called that in our live stream if you guys have been keeping up. And now we're in this neutral channel. And so really my target here is if we were to go ahead and break out, we're seeing some resistance right here around that 3.7 million Satoshi mark. In my opinion, would really just take us up to around that 4.1 million Satoshi mark. And so In my opinion, I think there's equal opportunity across this market, and it's best to position yourself in a diverse manner in order to take advantage of as much opportunity as possible. But that's what I would say with Ethereum's technical analysis. Let's pull up XRP USD, because Ripple is a coin that we told everyone to stay away from, and I'm glad that we did. We're not seeing much price action. We're starting to see a little buyer volume here, but you can look at this RSI here. We're still in this neutral zone. We found resistance at that 60. We're staying in this middle zone, and it just doesn't look like there's as much excitement here. And then you can see we've got this 50 and this 100-day and price action in between, but we're still above that EMA. And so I think soon we'll see a breakout from this pennant formation, and that could either be to the upside or downside. Most likely probably be to the upside just based on the fundamentals of this, and then being the fact that it is a pennant, that is also a breakout pattern. And so I think we just need to give Ripple a little bit more time, because it's very possible that this 100-day moving average could just bring price action back down towards these lows. So Myron Gain says we are going down to 1K. Well, that wouldn't make sense to me, being the fact that we're seeing world record volume in regards to longs being put in, through CME futures. We're seeing record amount of volume with, total market cap. We're seeing Bitcoin transactions per day at high. So I would disagree with that, Myron, just to be quite frank with you here. Let's see. Michael says BTT isn't built on Ethereum because it's for illegal downloads. Interesting. Tron has BTT because Justin Sun has no clue what he's doing, just like the former owners of BitTorrent said. Tron is nothing but a Chinese hustle. That's the way business is done in China, but North Americans have yet to figure it out. Love that opinion, Michael. Thanks for sharing it. And so pulling up the XRP to BTC chart, let's see if there's anything interesting going on here. You can see we talked about this trending down as Bitcoin was going to see some upside. It's exactly what happened. Still expecting that major support level around 7,445 to take into fruition. You can see with this bearish RSI as well that we've been watching for some time now, we're starting to head right back down. We may see a double bottom here below 30. And so not much price action there. And let's go ahead and take some live questions from the audience before we wrap this stream up. And make sure to like this video if you guys haven't already. And let's see what we've got here. Myron says, thanks for your trades. Absolutely. You're very welcome. I'd like to provide you guys the most profitable trades if you guys are part of our Discord. And if you're not, the Discord link is in the description. Make sure to get in there. There's no excuse. There's a mobile, desktop, web version. Hassan says, it's definitely great to see that you're doing live streams again. Reminds me of the 2017 live streams. Hope you keep doing these, as I'm sure the new people don't know the value you provide in these streams. Thank you, Hassan. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, we definitely want to provide as much value as possible. I'm just really expecting some positive action in this market. The fact that we look at this chart here, this BTC1 CME futures chart, and we see this huge spike in buy volume while the price action is at these lows. That's just such a positive thing, in my opinion. It's like, if you look here at price action, just this amount of volume, which was almost half of what we just saw, took this all the way up here about 35%. We barely saw like 15% here, we've got 20%. So, but all this way more volume came in, right? And so I think that there's just a lot of indicators in this market telling me that, man, we are undervalued right now. Transactions are going up. We're seeing volume increasing. We're seeing records being broken with longs being put in, but then we're not seeing the price action to follow. Well, soon we will. And I think that's when we'll prove a lot of people wrong, and I hope you guys agree with me. If you guys do, like this video. Joshua says, what's up? Are there any obscure altcoins that you have your eye on? BTT for sure, Joshua. The BitTorrent token, it's seeing support from Binance. It's seeing support from major exchanges. And there you go. Somebody says, you do your main trading on Binance. If you guys are part of our Discord group, we have our resources area open. And I actually do and use several different platforms for trading. One thing that I would highly recommend, which is a platform we use called 3 Commas, and you guys can go on our Discord under resources and find that under tools, but it allows you to set trailing stop losses and trailing take profits. And I think that's extremely important when you guys are in this market, because you really want to be able to mitigate your risk properly and get in and out at the right time. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys have experiences where you get stopped out of your trade out of nowhere because there's just this huge wicks that just comes in. That trailing stop loss will prevent you from, really getting out of that trade fully. And so you're still able to make those profits. And so if you go here in the bottom, I've got that resource here for you. And then we've got all these other tools that we use. And then if you guys are part of our premium group, I'll post all of my trades, entry and exit position here for you guys. And so you guys can get that as well in the description. And then once again, if you guys are part of our Discord, there's this quick tips area. And so this is really going to teach you guys everything you need to know. What's cool is you also have these trading patterns that you can just kind of look at charts and mimic. You know, you can just kind of read these. You can see we've got a descending resistance and descending support. That's a breakout pattern. You know, these are the ways that we're able to predict things in this market. Like, for example, when Bitcoin broke out of its pennant, it was a clear structure that was forming. You've got this descending resistance, this descending support, and it broke out, right? So nothing new, right? It's like we knew that was going to happen because you can go here and you can just look at it, right? So I highly recommend you guys get on our Discord. Like I said, there's no excuse not to because there's so many different versions of it. But hopefully that helps out. Let's see here. Ron says, longs don't mean anything for CME futures as a contract is both a long and for a short. Yeah, but it shows you that those were purchased. It was a purchase order. It was a green order. And so, and it was also confirmed here. If you actually go to this article, there's an article that confirms that it was record. Actually, it was a record volume for Bitcoin. And so, you know, it's amazing. And, you know, it's interesting you say that because this is a very interesting article here. I haven't had a chance to highlight this, but it says here, CME Bitcoin futures see record volumes, crucial signal for rising institutional demand. So, you know, that's interesting because we didn't even talk about institutional demand. That's the other thing about this. The fact that there's all this volume is showing that there's, you know, there's most likely institutions that are interested in this market more than anything else. And so what's really cool about that is the fact that, you know, when institutional money comes into this market, it comes in batches. And when the market cap is where it's at 100 to 150 billion, when you see billions of dollars pouring in, it really makes a significant impact on price action and volume, and it really will bring in a lot of retail investors. And I think that's what will take us over that $1 trillion market cap. And that's the only way we're going to see Bitcoin surpass 20,000 or see any all-time highs. And so I wouldn't be surprised for that to happen over the next 1 to 2 years. I don't know why you would be surprised based on what we've already seen Bitcoin do. I think it's just continuing to prove itself, being the fact that it's still here and doing what it's doing. Bill says, hey, I was wondering if you think Stellar still has a chance of being better than Ripple. I would say Stellar's model is just not working as effectively as Ripple's model right now. You know, Stellar wants to bank the unbanked, and Ripple says, we'll just work with the banks, right? That's why it has so much controversy. And I think that they're finding it to become very successful working with these banks because the banks are realizing that the XRapid system is just way more efficient than using the traditional methods. So Jimmy says, aren't pennants typically continuation patterns? If so, how do you predict a breakout rather than a breakdown? You know, it really depends. But with the pennant, you know, what you want to look at sometimes is what's being tested more. Is it the support or the resistance? If the resistance is being tested more, it's being pushed more towards the upside. And so it's more of a breakout pennant, right? And if it's being pushed more to the downside, then it's vice versa. So hopefully that helps out, Jimmy. So Edit says, Ron's a euphoric bear. Myron says, institutions don't want to go in at these prices, I don't think. Why would you say that if it was at $20,000? Would you, as an institution, rather get in at $20,000 or $3,000? I think that, I mean, if I was an institution, I'd choose $3,000. And then we'll see, you know, who wants to invest in your institution or mine, you know? So Anonymous says, can you look at Skycoin? Not sure what the ticker symbol to that is, but I'd rather look at something that applies to the general audience, so I apologize about that. And so hopefully you guys are enjoying this live stream. Once again, I was listening to a podcast today, got me kind of frustrated because they were talking about Bitcoin possibly going into down, seeing new lows, but they weren't talking about things that actually matter, like the fundamentals, like the daily transactions per day and things like that. And I'm like, man, well, you know, they're blind. And so I'll go on YouTube here and I'll make my live stream and video to you guys and tell you guys the truth and the facts and actually what's going on, not just to create a headline, right? And I think that's what's important. So I'm a little sick. That's why my voice is a little off. So I don't want to stay on for too long, but I do Appreciate you guys tuning in here. I'm going to be on the Discord. I'm really excited to start trading. We closed all of our positions. I'm going to be posting all of my trades this week. I think we knocked out over 100% for sure so far since the start of this month. And so it's been a really good month. And I'm really watching these charts and looking at the best setups right now for you guys. We're seeing some really good setups come. I think one that I'm probably going to get back into soon is going to be the VET trade, that VeChain trade. They just announced their developer bounty. Oh, man, I just closed that trade and it just popped. Look at that. Well, no big deal. But I had this trade open for some time. At least we didn't lose on it. Oh, man, it already popped, though. But I think we'll see further upside here, but it's probably going to get back down before seeing that further upside. So anyways, Edit says Litecoin has killed it this month. Definitely worth checking out. It's up over 50% this month. Let's do Litecoin Bitcoin and see what's going on here. So Litecoin, exactly what we predicted was going to happen happened. We saw this rounding bottom form. Another one of our patterns here in our Discord. Once again, this link is in the description below. This is a free resource. There is a premium version, but there's also a free version. You do get a lot of this in the free version. So I highly recommend you guys get on this. It will really help you guys out. This is a rounding bottom pattern. You can see here, it's exactly what we have here, that descent forming that handle, that second handle. And we predicted that handle from forming. And so we said it was going to most likely bounce on that EMA. It did exactly that. Went and found resistance a second time. So it's weakened a lot now that it's found resistance that second time, but it's still above that EMA. I think that it would be interesting to see what's going to happen here. We're still bullish. We're above 60 here on RSI, which is good. And then when we look at MACD, we are extremely overstretched. We just saw this fast length cross over with the slow length. So this is probably going to pull back soon based on this MACD. I mean, this crossover is pretty extensive there. And it was a sharp drop. And then once again, we failed at that breakout towards the upside to fulfill this rounding bottom. Typically with a rounding bottom, you don't want to test that resistance a second time. You want to just go in and out. And so right now, I think the major telling indicator here is going to be this EMA. And if we drop below this EMA, then that's going to be a definite potential downside here, which would be a really good short, because then you could short this down to this next support of around 1 million Satoshis, and then continue that target downwards depending on structure. So very interesting chart here with Litecoin. I wouldn't get into a position now. It doesn't look too good, but it definitely has performed well this month. Looking at the USD chart, we had this upward channel forming, broke out of that channel. That's positive. USD chart's looking a little bit better. Got more consistent volume. We've got these moving averages that were above. But the interesting thing is we're right here at this support and resistance. And so what I would watch right now is to see if we can break above this. And if we do break above this, the next target would be right around that $67 zone. And so right now we're at 52, but we've got that resistance here, which was previous support, because previous support eventually becomes resistance. So that would be interesting to see here. Tiago says, let's take a look at EOS. I've heard EOS quite a bit now. I wouldn't mind taking a look at EOS here. Robert says it didn't fail. They are pocketing the bears. And I was just, can you and Brenton launch copy trading on eToro? I'm going to look into that. Thank you for mentioning that. We do have this bot that we are possibly going to launch. However, the thing with the Discord group, the reason I love Discord is like what you can do is, and this is what I tell people when we do one-on-one sessions is, you don't even have to have a computer to trade and make insane amounts of profits on a daily basis. All you got to do is use your phone, right? The Discord application has a phone app, and you can just go here. If you don't know anything about trading, you just go through all of this amazing knowledge. This right here is the premium education. So this is for our premium group, but we've also got these quick tips if you're in our free Discord. And then we send out our signals, and our signals are entry and exits and stop losses, right? But it doesn't mean you just put in the entry, the exit, the stop loss, and you just hope for the best. You actually want to, watch the chart on your phone, implement some of the risk management techniques, implement trailing stop losses, trailing take profits, and use these strategies properly, because there's so much opportunity in this market. I think our group made more money on the market on the way down than on the way up. There was just so much opportunity, and there's continuous opportunity on a daily basis. So I'm excited for this week. I'm really entering this week strong. Closed all the positions, liquidated, and I'm just ready to find new setups. So I'll be sure to post those out there. Let's complete this EOS analysis. So we broke this resistance. We're finding resistance at this next known resistance, which seems like a pretty strong level here. So we're seeing that strong resistance right around that 9,965 Satoshi mark. We're seeing this completely overbought RSI. We're seeing this overextended as well. Remember that fast length doesn't want to stay too far away from that slow length. And so I would say that we'll most likely see potential downside towards that 8,153 Satoshi level, which was a previous support and resistance level. And that's what I would say about EOS right now. It doesn't look like there's much opportunity unless we can break out of this resistance. The good thing is that we're above that moving average here. What's cool is we also see this golden crossover here as well, 50-day going over that 100-day. So I don't want to keep going through tons of analysis, guys. I think we went through a ton of amazing content in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you haven't already. Thank you for tuning into the live stream if you guys were here on live. Hassan, Edit, Robert, Bill, Joshua, Tiago, Robert, Wasim, Guerrera, Andrew, Bai, HR. Take care, guys. Thank you for all tuning in. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, say something in the live stream if you guys did. Ron says, thoughts on BNB? Could it pump even more? I would definitely be taking profits on BNB right now. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I'm a little sick, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break here. Continue to watch these setups, posting the trades on Discord, and making sure to providing the best content for you guys. Take care and have a wonderful weekend, an amazing night. And I am out. Robert says bye. Tiago says appreciate it, man. You're very welcome. JRM says bye. Thanks. You're very welcome, guys. Take care.